Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff and Karen Dumas.
No bullshit!
It's just breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Man, Jordan, you just got in. Jordan Chariton's with us. Got a new book out. We the Poisoned: The Exposing the Flint Water Crisis Cover-Up. I read it in one sitting. We'll get to that, but did you notice how fucked up the roads were driving in?
Jesus Christ, where's the money going? We almost had to pull over.
Well, I just know, like, everything's locked down because JD Vance is chasing Kamala Harris around the country. Like, it's so stupid. What is that? He's going to Shelby Township and she's going to the airport?
The airport?
Yeah.
That's what they said, the airport.
But so why are they shutting down because all the parking at 12 o'clock, everything's shut down downtown?
Downtown.
How is that?
In the UAW headquarters, Solidarity House,
Right.
down by you.
Right.
On Jeff, right?
Yep.
Is that closed down?
I don't know. They won't let me in. I drive an American car. I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know. I didn't pay attention, Charlie.
No, I mean, are the roads around where we...
I don't know. I came the back way down the expressway, so I didn't see.
Secret Service so dumb they don't even know there's a back way.
There's always a
Well, with
back
these
way.
choices we got, who gives this shit? You know what I mean? I was talking to some guys downstairs here at the American Cornell, just a couple working dudes, and like everybody running for office now wants to pretend they had some like hard Scrabble pass, like JD Vance. Like, dude, you're not a hillbilly. You're from Middleton, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. Your grandparents came out of the hills in 1940, right? During the war to work in the steel, right? Just like everybody in Detroit. That's how we got it. We're not hillbillies. We're from like, Detroit or Westland. We're not from Appalachia.
But the struggle it seems to have an appeal. I think that people are trying to align themselves with it so that they can seemingly connect with the average person.
Well, why did they used to do it?
Cultural appropriation.
It is cultural appropriation, but the struggle is overrated.
Well,
Where did you go? Yale, Harvard? I think he took hillbilly economics there. Yeah.
Well, look, like
No.
your grandfather worked for U.S. Steel. You're raised with your grandma. Okay, there's a pension. You're not eating collard greens out of the field or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
That's not a bad
he
thing,
says in his
Charlie.
book, he learned how to use a fork in the Marines. Like, they ain't got no forks in the suburbs of Cincinnati.
So that makes him look stupid.
Dude, it's exit 32 off of I-75. Been there many times. Take a shit, get some gas, and keep going to Daytona Beach. Because that's what rednecks do. They go to college. Yeah, I might have fucked my couch.
I don't want to hear that, Charlie.
Is that even true?
No. But
How would you know that, Mark?
well, I just know the whole. It started with a tweet. Someone,
I understand, but how do you know that?
Well, that's where it got really funny to me because the AP wrote a story that said no, he did not have sex with a couch, and everyone's like,
How do you
don't
have
know
sex
he's
with a
never had
couch?
sex with a couch.
So we have to retract that because we don't have the
silly.
facts that, he absolutely didn't sleep with his couch. We know he slept on it.
Yeah, it just wasn't in his book.
Well, why didn't they do that shit with the Russia hoax? Pull all that down.
It's a lot harder.
Oh my Lord, man. Okay, so Kamala Harris, and it's Kamala, right?
Yeah.
It's Kamala.
It's like comma, like a comma.
It's Kamala.
Kamala. Okay.
I've always called her Kamala. And the right wing just so disrespectful about shit. Like, you're fucking confusing me. I don't want to sound like an a-hole. Kamala.
Kamala.
Yes, like it's always been Kamala, right? The little girl, the second generation, who was bust, Mr. Racist President Joe Biden, who I'll join on the ticket. Segregation Joe, right? But wait a minute. I went to college at Berkeley. I know a little something about Berkeley. In fact, I lived on San Pablo, right? That's what the old timers call it. San Pablo Avenue. That's in Oakland. I grew up on Bancroft Way. You know what Bancroft Way is? It's right there in the verdant and cushy environs of the University of California at Berkeley. Your father was a professor at Stanford. Your mother worked at the Lawrence Laboratory.
That's known as the Hood in Berkeley.
Oh, I was bust right up. Everybody was bust in Berkeley. First ones to do it, 1968. City about the size of Lansing, 100,000. Ann Arbor. It's Ann Arbor. You fucking grew up in Ann Arbor.
So
next to the university.
So why does everybody want to be broke and struggle and, uneducated?
Well, here's the answer.
Like, what is that?
Now, would you tell me about Harris and the
Well, I was saying the other
day.
day that the conversation is focused on whether or not JD Vance had sex with a couch and Kamala Harris washing collard greens in a bathtub.
Is that some story they're putting out?
Well, no, it was because she was talking about, it was in a tweet and a video, and that somebody had recorded, and she was saying she's still trying to validate her blackness, and so I guess there's the similarity or the alignment of collard greens and being black, and she was like, yeah, I've cooked collard greens. At one time, I've cooked so many collard greens, I had to wash them in a bathtub. And so my thing, though, is why are we having a conversation about the couch and the collard greens?
Let's just stay on what she's saying for a minute. The facts, right? You weren't a second generation of busing. That started in 67. It was the pilot program. Then it was 68. Then it was 69. When you were in Madison, Wisconsin, and your parents were professors up there at a good old Madison, Wisconsin, UW. Right? Then you move back to Berkeley and your parents divorced. So your father's Jamaican and he goes off to Stanford and you're living with your mom. And your mom is from India. So what's with the collard green bit here? What is that? I don't the answer I believe, talking to those working guys down there, is things are so incredibly destroyed, right? Like, thank you, Joe Biden, for voting for NAFTA. Thank you, Joe Biden, for voting for Iraq. Thank you, Joe Biden, for voting for normalization of trade with the Chinese. Thank you for everything leaving. Now it's really bad. Like back in Reagan's days, it wasn't good. You don't remember, but really wasn't that good. But in 1990, China was the poorest country on the planet.
Wow.
You sold us out. During that time, you could still quit, this machine shop over on DeQuinder there and go across the street and get another job. You had power over the boss. Go, fuck you, man. And we were making money. It was starting to slide. And now it's gone. For every age group, every racial group, you name it, it's collapsing. And I hate to use the word because it diminishes what we're going through in Flint. And everybody's a populist now. Everybody feels it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we were talking about savings. Like, I don't really got any savings. Like, oh. So they now have to pander to us. Like, I know what you're feeling. But you don't know what I'm feeling. I would go to Gary, Indiana, right? See the grandparents. I grew up there till I was 8. But that doesn't make me a truck driver for U.S. Steel. Right. I was born in a military hospital. But that doesn't make me a non-vet. That would be my dad, right? Much respect to him. I got my own story. It doesn't need to be stylized.
But that's what I want to see from folks. I want to know who you are. I want to do the homework. I want to connect the dots. And I want to accept you in your authenticity, not in your control narrative, as Jason and I were talking about. And that's what it's become. What they say is so, simply because nobody challenges it, nobody questions it. And then we end up with somebody that we really didn't think we were ending up with. There's no sincerity.
Well, also, whether JD Vance had sex with a couch or not, whether Kamala Harris is, hosing collard greens in the bathtub or not, are they going to present any policy to lower the grocery bill? Are they going to present any policy, I don't know, to lower rent? They're going to present any policies about health care? Because I don't really give a shit what their identity is. They're all corrupt. They're all fake. Mm-hmm. From Obama to Trump to on down. Follow the money. Who's giving them money? Kamala Harris has been running now for what? For 2 weeks. The only policy has been a Beyonce freedom commercial. She has not presented what she's going to do. Trump, other than cut taxes, deregulate, close the border. But I'm hearing a lot of narrative. We're putting out narratives without actually looking underneath the hood. What are any of these people going to do for the people in Detroit that are struggling, or the people in Flint, or name your gentrified, decrepit American city?
And just keep cutting checks that we can't pay for. So you just keep increasing debt, and this thing's going to explode. And somebody's got to be a leader and say, we all need to take a cut. And here's a coherent plan. We're all in it together because inflation's doing it anyway.
Or how about the voters saying, hey, I don't care about how, what smart clapback you have. I don't care about, I want to hear something that's going to have an impact on my life and the lives of my family and those in the community. So it may not be on the person that's running, because as long as they can get away with it, they will. It's going to have to be up to the electorate to say, okay, I don't want to hear the BS anymore. If I want a comedy show, I'll go hear Dave Chappelle. I want to know, what are you at least thinking about?
That's the media's one-time responsibility, and they won't do it.
Yeah,
Alyssa Slotkin beat Hill Harper, friend of the show, Hill, and Madam Slotkin, please, the independents of this great state that listen to this program would like you to be right there. So she won, and so did Mike Rogers, who's been on the program. Both deep state. He's head of the Congressional Intel Committee, right, during Iraq. She's National Security Counsel and a CIA operative in Iraq, which is interesting. I was reading some of, what JD Vance did when he enlisted in the Marines?
I believe he wrote for Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, he did PR. So I read some of his work. It's not bad. It's not bad for a hillbilly. He can spell.
That doesn't know how to use a fork.
He can use a pen, but not a fork. Okay.
But that's interesting because, narrative, he was a vet. Thank you for your service, but he was doing PR, not not combat.
When the candle lit the year before, I went as a reporter with the Marines, and we're taking sniper fire, and we disengaged, me and two Arab journalists. We disengaged with them because they're trying to lead you around. That's what he was doing in there. And now we're hitchhiking in a war zone, and IEDs are going off. It's a stupid thing to do, but okay. What's interesting, he wrote a story about an air crew at the Al-Assad Air Base. It's kind of northwest of Baghdad. An Iranian-backed proxy just launched a bunch of missiles in there. We've got 7 military personnel. We don't know what happened to them. They won't tell us what happened, right? Iran in Iraq, which is exactly the portfolio that Slotkin had during the Bush and Obama administration. We're not getting anything. Rogers, what did you know? Did contracts get swung to your wife's defense contracting corporation? Are we going to have any of this? We've got a deep state Senate race, and we don't know anything. What we do get, here, this is, Slotkin brought it up. You want to broadcast this into my living room? Let's comment on it. Let's play that.
I'm Alyssa Slotkin, and I want you to know why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. It's my mom, but it could have been anyone's mom. She had survived breast cancer when I was very young, and that pre-existing condition hung over all of us. Then my mom lost her job and couldn't afford health insurance. That's when she was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. It was like a grenade went off in our lives. I took a leave of absence to come home and take care of her, and while she was fighting for her life, we were fighting the insurance companies just to get her care. She fought hard, but we lost her in 2011. So when I saw politicians voting to strip protections for people like my mom, something inside me just broke. It's dereliction of duty, and it drove me to run. I approve this message because of my mom. She is why I ran then, and she is why I fight now.
How about for us? Okay, let's just... Your mom had cancer when you were a baby. And then she lost her job and got some more cancer. And then you came home to help her and you were fighting with the insurance company for her care, although she didn't have any insurance. So did you have insurance or didn't you? And by the way, your mother was married to your father, who is the heir to the Ballpark Frank hot dog fortune, high grade meat. Like
Nathan's is better.
American Coney Island is
that's true.
proprietary.
That's true. I stand
It's
corrected.
actually a sausage with lamb casing. But so what? That's what Whitmer pulled. Same kind of thing. And these are valid questions if you want to play populist card. Because God bless my mom, she's struggling too. But we don't do that. I don't write books calling my mother a drug addict or use her for political. I don't do it because this election is about us. You're running because you understand us, but you don't. You had to do a listening tour because you left here right after high school and never came back. And then you went to...
But I'm sorry to hear about your mother. That's a beautiful ad, but nowhere in that ad, how are you actually going to lower healthcare costs? What are you proposing? The only thing in that ad was saying Republicans want to repeal the Obamacare, but nobody could afford Obamacare.
Right.
So you're basically saying I'm going to protect the thing that no one could afford.
And Obamacare is paid for by student debt. The interest that the government makes on the kids goes to fund. So the kids, the ones out there struggling and have nothing, are paying for... Wow. Okay, so we're going to forgive debt, the student debt. How do we pay for Obamacare? Nobody wants to say anything. Nobody. This is what's going on. Nobody will talk real to us. You don't have to talk like an egghead. You just got to talk real. So the guys downstairs, the guys, they ain't got nothing in the bank and, we just working, man. And they're buying your book, by the way.
Thank you.
Because they believe in the work. They believe in Flint. They're part of it. We're all closer than we know, right? They said, I just didn't know. And I said, our Governor Whitmer aired a similar ad. Mm-hmm. Except Whitmer's father, at the time when his ex-wife didn't have insurance, was president of Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there must have been a nasty divorce. You're going to let her die like that. Oh, that's right. But your mom remarried the president of the Michigan Bar Association. I called them. Yes, they give health insurance. And then finally, your mother was an assistant attorney general of the state of Michigan. They get health insurance. So it's a struggle for us, but you don't have to do this. Back in the day, you would try what you thought were august and robust thinking people that could manage. They couldn't. We were young. We didn't know. But now it's ridiculous. Like Marco Rubio, like my dad was a bartender, my mother was a maid. And I'm like, and you've been in politics your whole fucking life. You never worked.
What, Charlie? People can say it. And again, you talked about the role of the media. We talked about the role of the electorate. I mean, nobody's questioning, nobody's answering, nobody is investing the time. We're in a real-time media cycle on Twitter, on the whole 9 yards, and we're moving from thing to thing to thing without there ever being any thought given to the earlier thing.
Indeed. And politicians lie to you. The media lies to you. How do you know if your investment statements are lying to you?
I need someone honest.
Okay, remember, you're not managing your wealth. That's some unseen guy working for a big bank, right? That's right. Jockeying some unknown algorithm, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, you're from New York. But he's not making decisions based on what's best for you. He's making decisions on what's best for his bonus, gambling with your hard-earned dollars. You should know your money, man. That's why I work with financial specialist Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. You like how I got that in? Yeah, it's nice feathering it in. Luke Nowacki will tailor a financial plan specifically for you, from annuities to retirement accounts to college savings. He'll keep you up to date and always just a phone call away, which is important. Because like the Dow fucking cratered 1,100 points the other day, and people are trying to get their money men, and the money men ain't calling back because that's what they do. That's not Luke Nowacki. Luke Nowacki worries so you don't have to. Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748. Now, another thing. This will lead us into the next little bit here. We'll get to your book, I promise. Archangel Senior Management, new sponsor of ours. Listen to this. This is really interesting. This is deep. Are you an entrepreneur looking for a safe and socially responsible real estate investment? Consider contacting Archangel Senior Management. Senior living. Remember that? Remember that? COVID, we all got to look at it. Senior living is one of the fastest growing markets in America because we're one of the fastest aging populations in the world. Yeah. And Archangel offers small communal living for senior citizens in homes right inside our neighborhoods. It's the antithesis to the cold corporate nursing homes we all now heard so much about and are shocked about, and they have not been fixed. Archangel has formed partnerships with the PES School of Nursing and Majestic Residences, a home-based assisted living franchise system. This partnership provides authentic caregivers with the tools and training necessary to manage their own care homes, and Archangel investors in that real estate can feel secure in both their investment and their care teams. So you can see how that would work. Real estate investment, you get a piece of that. Real estate goes up, you get a little piece of like the profit, but it's not profit first. And it's small. It's for seniors. Like all the girls are widowed, right? They retire. Let's get a house together.
And that makes sense, though,
doesn't it?
Because anybody that's had to care for a senior, they know they don't want to go in a cold facility. They want as much of a home environment as possible.
Exactly.
And so that makes perfect sense for their well-being.
So you have, full-time caregivers there. The medicine wagon comes to you. They actually have mobile pharmaceutical, the whole nine. The care is genuine. The owners are local, and Archangel has Overwatch. If interested in this trailblazing opportunity, contact Archangel at 989-614-0416. 989-614-0416. So
is that also an investment opportunity?
They're not paying that much, Karen.
Okay.
We'll talk more about them next week.
Always about the money, Karen.
And
is it an investment opportunity?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so it is. Okay, so I'm listening because we are aging. We are an aging population, and you do want to look for viable investments that matter. I mean, not just something that you're putting your money in, you're getting something back. It makes a difference in terms of a quality of life, a quality of community. So that's what I'm hearing.
And think this, like stocks, bonds, you could be afraid if the price of gold is up and down, whatever you might be doing, right? Ruby, sapphire, I don't know, right? Okay, so people go real estate. But when you go real estate, it's a place to hold the money, right? Like you got something firm, but it costs you to hold it, right? Just taxes, for instance. If you invest in a home with seniors, and Archangel's, responsible for keeping it up and et cetera, the property value grows and you're making income from it.
Right.
It's because what they charge in these senior living places is obscene. Okay, we'll move on.
More importantly, investments that actually might help people rather than kill them.
That's what I'm saying. It's an investment in the quality of life.
What does it say here? Socially responsible investments.
What a thing.
That may be
what a thing.
Worth looking into.
What a thing. Because COVID, the response was shit. Andrew Cuomo's was shit. Whitmer's was worse. And this new guy, what's his name? Harry Walz?
Walz.
No.
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz.
Yeah. Governor of Minnesota. Nice place, Minnesota, right?
High school football coach.
And he signed a Prince Day.
His response was Walz and Whitmer, I forget who was the governors of New Jersey and Pennsylvania at the time.
Murphy
in
Jersey, and was it Shapiro?
No.
And
Gavin Newsom. They commingled old people. They took, you healthy enough to leave the hospital, you still got COVID. You just put them in the nursing home. At one point, Minnesota had the highest nursing home death rate in the country, 81%. We know exactly where they were dying, right? We know who was dying, and you did dick about it. Eventually they did. I'll give him more credit than Whitmer because we're still lying about the number. At least they kept track of the number. Much smaller state, about 6,000 people died. We're saying 7,000. But they stopped doing it. We kept doing it. It's all a lie. Okay, so that's part of your record, sir. The other part of your record is you're putting tampons in fourth grade boys' toilets? Okay, you know, whatever you think of that, I mean, it's an unnecessary expense minimum. I'm sorry, you know, because you raise taxes by $10 billion in Wisconsin. You know what I mean? The schools went from third best in the country to 19th. What's going on there? The nursing homes. The George Floyd riots, and there's no other way to call it because Minneapolis, your capital city, burned for 5 days and you wouldn't send the National Guard. Dude, can't have it. And speaking of National Guard, thank you for your service, sir. 20 years in the Army National Guard. That's great. He took full advantage of the GI Bill, got himself a teaching degree, high school football coach. But then when you re-enlisted after 9/11, it was all good until you, the senior non-commissioned officer, gets word, get ready, we're going to Iraq. Oh, and I retire. He just walked. He left his troops. What the and his retirement papers were never signed by him. So does that make you AWOL? Does that make you sort of a deserter?
You know, it's
important to Midwest fucks like me, whose dad did not.
You know what the most messed up part about this from a news consumer perspective? I didn't know most of the things you just reported. And in all the coverage of Walz of the last 2 days, it's all been about the theater, the narrative. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen any mainstream outlet really even mention some of the things you just mentioned.
You got to, dig up some documents.
You got to do work.
They're not there on the scroll, man. You got to hit links
work.
and okay.
You got to do work.
I'm sorry. Okay, look. Here's the deal with illegal immigration. Cat's out of the bag. You can't turn shit around. The people we need to round up and deport are the criminals. Everybody else, you know what's going to happen. You're in. It's not their fault. You're in. Okay, zip up the border, whatever you're going to do, but you're in. But if you're part of like El Tren de... what's the name of that group, man? I got to write that down. I never heard of them. What's that area in Venezuela called? I want to commit this to memory. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll get it another time. They got to go. You're killing, raping, robbing, breaking in the house. I don't care what you're doing. You're gone, right? And then reset, right? I'm not into trains, and we're not getting rid of people. So let's stop right there. But you raising everybody's taxes. This wave of people's getting free tuition, free health care, driver's licenses.
In Minnesota, that's a Walz.
Driver's license, I can understand, man. I don't need you sitting around on a corner waiting to get picked up in a gardening truck. Okay.
Sure.
No, that's what happened. And don't you remember? Do you remember L.A. in the year 2000? That's what happened.
I was just thinking fun with Dick and Jane. That was the image that
How
came
about give
to
us
mind.
free health care first?
Hello. Right? This isn't a hateful thing.
Right.
You know how much I got to pay?
And
My kid's going to college. I'm paying.
And it doesn't cover anything. That's the thing. Insurance, I don't care how much you pay for, it covers nothing.
I just got a bill for a back surgery in 2019. I had insurance. They want to bill me $5,000.
Yep. Now,
in 2019.
But look and see how much the insurance company paid for that. And if you paid a bill, they're trying to get from when I had foot surgery. And they said, oh, well, you owe us another $1,000. And I told them, I said, you were paid $25,000 for this. I said, I have paid every bill that you've sent. I'm not paying you this. You got to make that work. So,
well, you got $5,000 in the bank? Sorry, it's a
Hopefully
personal question.
We'll see. A little more, yeah.
Like his whole life say, this is one of the sharpest. I rarely use the word. It's just too uppity, but just one of the sharpest journalists in the business. I can't afford my back. Mm-hmm. I got to pay the tax man more than what you got to pay the hospital. And where's it going? Because it ain't going to your back, brother. No. I'm not a revolt. I'm a Midwest, middle of the road dude who never moved. We serve. We work.
But this doesn't make sense.
We take care of our kids.
But none of this makes sense.
Oh,
I mean, none of it makes sense.
Okay. You know what? And here's the thing.
It's the legal cartel.
Pretty much.
It's a legal cartel.
So they, that's why it got to me. I was up late and I'm watching it, and they're pulling Midwestern politicians out of their ass to be in the boxes on cable news, and none of them know this guy, Tim, right? And Tim Walz, the Harris Walz ticket, the Harry Balls. That's how I'm going to remember it. Okay. Well, we already know what you're getting with Trump and Vance. I mean, you know what I mean? So, they're talking about this guy, like you said, it's performative. It's he's a good old Midwestern football coach, good old Midwestern Valley, solid middle of the American guy. No, did you hear all this stuff? That is more left than Kamala Harris or whatever you want to call it, right? It's just, you're a progressive.
I am.
That's what you call yourself. And this is crazy to you.
Some of that is very crazy. I didn't know about the tampons in 4th grade bathrooms. But I do like did free lunches for kids in school. That's great. I do like some of the things, but at the end of the day, I
want the kids to learn.
Right.
And I'm paying. And when my kid was in grade school, I went to check out the lunch, the breakfast program. My kid didn't need it. You know what I mean? As a man in this society, I'm happy to pay it. Our kids aren't going to go hungry. I'm not paying for your dad for the rest of his life, but the kids come first. Right. And I'm looking, I'm like, generic Pop-Tart, an orange drink. So somebody went into my pocket, sent it to Washington. Washington sent it to the state sent it to the school board, and orange juice transmogrified into orange drink. Some contracts. That's what this is all about. So I don't like any of them, right?
And you're paying to give your kids early diabetes with the Pop-Tarts.
Thank you, dude.
But that's the thing. It's all a cycle. So you're saying, okay, we give kids free lunch, but look at the other contributing factors that have created a compromised environment for their families not to have free lunch. I mean, it's a cycle.
Yes. Oh, no, I know.
It's a cycle.
And we don't seem to be able to break it because big parties, big business, big interests get in the way.
Listen, bottom line, if you want to think there's a blue team versus a red team, enjoy your delusion. There's one team. It's the green team. Mm-hmm. We live in the United Corporations of America. We do not have a representative democracy. We have a multi-trillion-dollar corporate conglomerate masquerading as a government. They've all been purchased, some to more degrees, some to less. And basically, you're just choosing on vibes. Which one makes you feel a little safer, makes you feel a little more hopeful. But as you know, Charlie, follow the money. Whether it's Kamala Harris, Trump, who's funding them? Most of the media coverage is about fundraising. Oh, they raised $200 million. Well, who do they raise it from? They're in the Hamptons, they're in Napa Valley, Martha's Vineyard, Silicon Valley. These people are not giving charity. They're giving money for a return.
For access.
Indeed.
Yep, you're right.
And
both parties.
Okay, because there's no newspapers anymore, right? When do TV stations and cable news stations make their money? During the political cycle. They stack it all for 2 years.
Kind of a conflict of interest.
Oh my God, no doubt. When I started at Fox, I went in Roger Ailes' office and he goes, all right, that's all right, you go around America, all right, that sounds great. All right, you're not going to do any stories on the advertisers. I go, nah, you're leaving to the other ones. I just want to do people and how we're living. I'll leave it to you. And I'm on my way out and I'm like, mind if I take a shit? No. He got his own personal Batman in there trying to take a shit. Strangely, he died because he slipped on the tub. He slipped in his bathroom, hit his head. He's a hemophiliac and bled out like that. It's kind of odd. Just saying. But
if you would have used that bathroom, you could have pointed out the danger. Could have saved his life. If he would have let you use his bathroom.
He wasn't going to use a bathroom in the tub.
I could have stickied up the floor, if you know what I'm saying.
I've seen Charlie take a tub on TV.
Okay. Let's not
put some
go
skin
down that
tape.
route.
Some organic skin tape.
Can we get back to the book?
Okay, and finally, before we go, a couple words from our sponsors. It's important to say that old chummy white guy,
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz. He He's my age.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh God, he looks old.
Oh my Lord. Okay, well, you're supposed to say, "What do you?"
Well, you look young.
Thank you. There we
Okay,
go.
but he looks to be late 70s or pushing 80.
He's
Yeah, he
60
looks
years old. I'm like 58
60.
and a half.
Yeah, same age as Kamala.
Wow. So it's important to say this, and you got the Democratic surrogates out there, like finishing the story, saying he's old, middle of the road guy. You're not. In fact, wait for it.
Have a drum roll.
Harry, Tim, is a DEI hire.
Oh, God.
He's a DEI hire. We need some old ass boring white guy to,
So was Biden. That's why Obama picked Biden. He needed an
Ah!
old white conservative.
So when everybody doing their DEI, I said, come on, man.
Hey, that's why Gretchen picked Garland. I mean, everybody's moving and shaking, and we're getting boo-booed on.
And as he just said, like, of course they're qualified. You can read, add some numbers, show up, debate, right? You've had a job or two. Okay. Doesn't mean you're good at it, right? Kamala Harris is qualified. Absolutely a senator, vice president, attorney general of California. I mean, that's a good resume, right? High school football coach, troop deserter,
Governor.
congressman, governor. That's a good resume. I mean, JD Vance. Okay, you made your money in venture capitalism. That's okay. A vet. Okay,
Hillbilly.
Law degree, senator. Like they're all more qualified than Obama was. They have more experience, and Obama's revered in many parts of this country. So you're right. It's you don't have to do anything. It's the lobbyists to tell you what to do, right? They even write the laws.
Yep.
Okay, we'll be back with Jordan Chariton and Karen Dumas. But Jordan's written the book. Finally, here's the history. It's out today. Yesterday was the launch. We the Poison, exposing the Flint water crisis, cover up. I promise we won't fatigue you. But I read in, we'll get to this. I read in one sitting and I texted you and I said, I don't know if it's that well written or I'm just that bewitched by it, or it's probably both. Yeah, but it's well written, and people are going, oh shit, it's got a lot of numbers, and it really doesn't. It's got the players though. It's got the players, and you found some really, really deep things. Right after this, We the Poison, Jordan Chariton, coming up.
American Coney Island. So good, even Al Roker from the Today Show eats here. Not like that other guy, Al Joker, who eats at Lafayette. So make sure you're a Roker and not a Joker. American Coney Island.
Well, when it rains, the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the internet goes out. When the internet goes out, I call my friend Matt and Bernie at XG Service Group. Look at Bernie here on his hands and knees, giving it everything he's got. Look at that man crack. So busy, he forgot to wear a belt. There's Matt right there getting the board together. That's 734-245-4100 if you need Matt and Bernie to come take care of your voice over internet, your security cameras, off-campus access control, Wi-Fi, and cameras for homes and business. They'll design it for you. You got restaurants, they do drive-through systems, railroad cameras for public safety, total wireless camera systems for your home and business. Yeah, that's right. Call XG Services at 734-245-4100. Are we back?
Yes.
Is Flint back, Jordan?
No, Flint's still a disaster zone, but they've pretended and gaslit the nation that it's all solved and everything's fine now.
No, we'll work back. That's what you got to know. And I'm telling you, he's got the goods in here. That's the end of the book. Is it fixed? And they're tricking them on water testing by, why don't we run it for a while, right? You're not supposed to do that. And that's the results the governor's reporting around.
Absolutely. If fixed is manipulated, falsified water data, if fixed is surging cancer rates in Flint, If fixed is children now shooting each other at 13 years old because their brains have been poisoned and their lead poisoned. If fixed is people going bankrupt because they cannot afford their medical bills from being poisoned and the city has not been given expanded health care. If fixed is literally 10 years later, the pipes haven't been replaced, so you still have dirty water coming through. Crazy. It's not fixed.
It's amazing to me. See, and it's the I told you so. Remember, I was on my time out, and I'm writing all the stuff that we've been covering, and it all comes to fruition. Our show number 1, we do it once a week. So this was 2018, and Nessel was running. I go, it's over. No one's ever going to do a day, and it's over. Okay, but it's not over. You won't let it go. I like how you talk about how this just once you got there, it tortured you so bad you just could never let it go.
No, I mean, I remember 2018, after Snyder, by the way, the former governor cheated on the water testing. He used that bullshit numbers to claim the water was safe. I sat on a porch with a mother. Her 1-year-old baby was sitting on her lap, white sores all over. They had just moved into this home. Her skin was clear before they moved into this Flint home. This was a month after Snyder declared the water safe. She's telling me, I'm going to call Child Protective Services on myself to get clean water because I can't get clean water. They shut down the water pods. 211, I call 211. They don't answer. I'm willing to call CPS on myself. There's story after story like that where these people are desperate. They're desperate for the rescue choppers, but the rescue choppers aren't coming. And the Attorney General of this state, I can't get in her head or her heart, but she really destroyed any chance of criminal justice for these people.
We'll go like that. We'll do it like a slingshot here. Boom, boom, boom.
Sure.
First of all, the Republicans did it. The Democrats did it. The foundations did it. Big business did it. Wall Street did it. Who did it? All of them?
This was, to me, the biggest government cover-up that I'm aware of. Watergate was a bunch of knuckleheads. It was
Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
I know Snyder was a Republican, but...
Yeah. No, you had a major foundation, the Mott Foundation. There's a whole chapter on them in the book. They were pulling the strings behind the scenes to appoint Snyder's emergency managers. You had Democratic Party officials like the local county drain commissioner pushing a totally unnecessary water system that was literally parallel to the existing pipe that went from Detroit to Flint. You had
state reps.
You had bond attorneys. There
was only one bond attorney. He just worked for all three.
Right. Who later went to work for Governor Whitmer, by the way.
And then Mayor Duggan, and now General Motors, and the real estate acquisitions, and now the Renaissance Center's gone. You see a little pattern here.
I mean, the book exposes that the former governor was a Republican. Literally, he knew about the deadly Legionnaires outbreak 16 months before he notified the public, and he and his right-hand man and his top advisors in real time were covering it up.
We're gonna get to that,
okay?
Because that's what's really new.
Yeah,
it was like you have the phone logs, and you were telling me about it, and I'm like, you don't know what they said, but it's a very compelling case, is what happened, but. General and a big sweep, because people have forgotten, like, what happened in Flint? Why did the water get poisoned? What was the choke point?
So basically, the state, there was a lot of players. I mean, we're talking decades.
$300 million job.
Yeah, they wanted this regional water system. They wanted their own water system from Lake Huron, and they basically concocted a scam to indebt Flint, to make Flint borrow $100 million. Flint had no credit rating in 2014. It was broke. So they came up with this ridiculous fake emergency that allowed Flint to borrow over $100 million to help fund the construction for this brand new water system that most of the money, but most of the water wasn't even going to be used for the residents of Flint. It was going to be given to businesses. It was going to be raw water, cheaper water for, meat packing and agriculture and fracking and these things. Most of the water wasn't even going to be for the residents of Flint. But basically, in that scam, in that fraudulent financial deal, the fine print was, while that new water system is being built, Flint has to use the Flint River that GM and all these chemicals have been dumping their shit in for over 100 years. They had to use the Flint River and the Flint water plant. and I compare the Flint water plant to these Boeing planes that are falling apart midair. The Flint water plant, they didn't even have, they were literally shipping equipment the week they were switching to the water.
Right.
The book shows they were so understaffed, they moved people from the garbage department to the water department 2 weeks before. No offense to sanitation workers. They don't have any expertise in water.
And the guy at the water plant, you got to remember, this water plant was built in 1960, not really ever used to clean the water. It was more to like a go through, right? There's no way to put chemicals in it. Michael Moore likes to say, "I wanted to save 100 a day." And it's like, no, there was just the equipment's so old, there was no way to put the chemicals in.
The media reports that they were trying to save money. They didn't even have the equipment to add the chemicals. Exactly. They did not have the equipment to add the corrosion control.
Right. So why is this okay? We've been talking about this for 10 years now, and I know you have over the years, Charlie has over the years. Why is this allowed to be okay?
Because it's a poor community. It's majority black, a lot of poor white folks. It used to be the envy of America. Mm-hmm. Flint used to be the booming middle class, but for a lot of reasons, it was hollowed out. And by the time Snyder came in, it was a rotting economic corpse. So it's a perfect guinea pig for these privatization schemes to regionalize the water. And not just in Flint, many other places, water is a cash cow. Right. Water, yes. They say water is the liquid gold. And they were trying to privatize it to make money. There was a lot of money to be made by regionalizing, privatizing, creating this new water system. It happened to be the final thing that bankrupted Detroit's water department by Flint leaving Detroit's water. But it's not okay. And that's why I stay on it. And that's why I write the book. I just was at a book event in Flint last night. People are telling me they're still getting rashes 10 years later.
So what happened to all the money? Remember there was a settlement, and did that ever, and because you talk about following the money, did that trickle down to the residents in any capacity? And why was a fix so simple as replacing the pipes never done?
First of all, residents haven't seen a dime of this settlement yet. And in my opinion, the settlement was completely inadequate, $600 million.
$200 million for the lawyers.
Right. In the book, I actually reveal that former Mayor Weaver, when she got in, one of the first things she said was, we need to start at $1.5 billion. And she immediately got a call from Richard Baird, the governor's right-hand man, saying, you need to take that back.
Wow.
So just to tie up that treatment plant, and then I'm going to get to the phone calls. You're going to construct a water system, right, with raw water. In the meantime, you're drinking the Flint River and treating it in a plant that couldn't and killed people, Legionnaires and everything. What happens when the water pipe system delivers raw water? Where were they going to treat that?
At the same decrepit, falling apart water plant.
So they never figured that out, or did they? They knew. Read the book. They knew.
Oh, yeah.
They needed $100 million to fix the place, and how much did they put in?
By the time they switched, about $8 million.
Out of $100 million?
Yeah, so
they needed about $60 million upgrades in the plant. They made about $8 million. Their mentality was, we'll fix it as we go. It's literally like, we'll add the plane parts mid-flight. Yeah. And one of the chapters reveals, there was Paul Revere's on the plant 4. They were saying, hell no, we're not ready. We can't do this.
Oh, you got the documents that I've never seen. The emails from I call him the plant manager, let's just call him, right? He says, we're not ready. This is bad, right? He's talking to his wife, like he died, did he not?
Not yet, no.
No, well, thank God.
Yeah.
God bless him, for at least he tried.
And he was told, no is not an option, get it ready.
They knew. They knew. They knew. They knew what they were doing to you, Flint. All right, so water's brown, okay, but people are complaining, getting rashes. But then the Legionnaires, which is a bacteria that super deadly, right? It's waterborne. And I remember it was January 2016. I was at the press conference. Snyder said, we've just found something out. A couple of people have died from Legionnaires. It probably is more than 100, right? They never tested for it. They called it pneumonia. Nobody looked. Buried them, incinerated them, whatever. Can't check. Did he know that? Explain these phone calls and his 2 attorneys, because he knew.
First of all, the book, I obtained a briefing that the governor got in October 2014. I'm not great at math, but I believe October 2014 is 16 months earlier than January 2016. He received a briefing in October 2014, Legionnaires outbreak in McLaren Hospital. It's not just the briefing he received. There was a mad dash of phone calls between Snyder, his chief of staff, the health director. At the same time, the environmental department, the health department are all on the phone, on emails, Legionnaires outbreak. He was on the phone with his chief of staff, health director in 2 days, 22 times. And a few days later, there's a briefing to the governor about the Legionnaires outbreak in McLaren. This was a governor, by the way, for you Michigan buffs. He was known as one tough nerd. Nothing gets by him. He reads everything. And I also obtained a 2020 testimony where he was under oath. It's never been revealed, where he suddenly has amnesia. He told Congress, I learned about Legionnaires in January 2016. Well, under oath in 2020, he seemed to forget when he learned. And it was a lot of, I don't know, I don't recall, and lawyered up BS. So I believe the book clearly shows, and the prosecutors that Dana Nessel fired, by the way, they concluded he knew about it 16 months earlier, and they were building a case against him for involuntary manslaughter based on he knew well before and he did not act.
So he was at the top of the pyramid.
Correct.
That you see with the FBI with the strings and everything, and you're looking at the crime family. I've seen the board. I've been into the archives. Oh, wow. So Snyder had his two main attorneys, right? They're both from Flint. Is that right?
I don't know where they're from. Brian Lennon?
I don't remember.
Oh, chief legal counsel. Yeah. Mike Godola was his chief legal counsel. He's now a judge in Michigan, appointed by Rick Snyder.
So the governor's chief legal counsel
and the deputy legal counsel, she was Valerie Brader. And she was Harvard-educated Rhodes Scholar. October 2014, she sends the freak-out email to Snyder's high command. Urgent matter to fix. We need to switch Flint back to Detroit. There's E. coli, TTHMs. The water's terrible. Richard Baird, Snyder's right-hand man, was not on that email. Somehow he found out about it. He shows up. He brings her to call Darnell Early, the emergency manager. Darnell Early says, it's too expensive to switch back to Detroit. That was because of the bond deal, and they were on the hook for the KWA bonds. Long story short, my book reveals Baird, the governor's right-hand man, threatened her, told her never send an email like that again. And Godola, the chief legal counsel, he responded to her email 15 minutes later saying, this is downright scary. The thought that they're drinking water from the Flint River because his mother still lived there. He said, the thought of my mother drinking this water. That's Snyder's chief legal counsel, who I obtained phone calls showing he was calling Snyder multiple times at 4 a.m.
Wouldn't he be ethically responsible to inform his boss
Correct.
About what they've known?
Correct. And Snyder, under oath, it's in the book, again, amnesia, he just doesn't recall if he ever talked to his chief legal counsel about the water problems in Flint. His chief legal counsel that happened to be calling him at 4 a.m. multiple times. At the same time, people were showing up with brown water. At the same time, businesses were testing high for cancerous chemicals.
And Legionnaires.
And Legionnaires.
Wasn't there another emergency manager other than Darnell Early? Weren't there two?
5.
There were 5?
I once wrote, it was like, no, well, one came twice.
Oh, yeah, Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I knew there was more than one.
So 5.
Okay.
And it was like being a bus driver for the city. It's like you get off the bus, another guy gets out. Like nobody knows what's going on here. You know.
And by the way, we want to, all these ads about democracy is at risk in the 2024 election. Here's the results when democracy is stripped. Their democracy was stripped. Emergency managers, unelected czars, were put in place to take power over the elected mayor, the elected city council, and they made decisions not based on public health, based on balance sheets.
Nice one. Let's get to Nessel. Like there was, not only was it involuntary manslaughter or murder too, I forget what they were going for. They were also building a racketeering case, a RICO, a mob case.
Correct.
And in comes Nessel. Just give us put that together for the listener.
So Dana Nessel, before she became Attorney General, took the very unusual, it's in the book, I spoke with lawyers, they'd never heard of a candidate basically shitting on an active investigation, that candidate has she had no way to know what the evidence was, who are their witnesses, who's cooperating. It was told to me it could be obstruction of justice what she was doing. because she was publicly basically saying, I'm going to shit can this whole thing and overhaul it. And there were big witnesses cooperating. There were high-level people cooperating and flipping.
Phone call people, emergency manager type people.
One of the emergency managers, Gerald Ambrose, was giving big fish away, but then they all shut up because Nessel publicly said, I'm going to fire Todd Flood. I'm going to start this whole thing.
Why?
From sources that I have, she didn't like Flood from their time working together in Wayne County Prosecutor Office. She thought he was Mike Dugan's fair-haired boy. So it seemed to be a personal vendetta against Flood. But forget Flood. Even if she fired Flood, she fired the chief investigator who happened to have brought down the Gambino crime family in New York. He was the former head of the FBI in Detroit. They didn't really debrief with him. And this man, Andy Arena, was kind of on the 5-yard line, I'd say, of bringing that RICO case. Well, Dana Nessel, right now, current news, I've put in Freedom of Information requests for a 52-page document that outlines that RICO case, who they were going to charge, what the evidence was. Her office, they told me they didn't have the documents at first. I said, well, I have sources that indicate you do have the documents. Then, after I publicly threatened to sue them, all of a sudden I get a response, well, look again. Then they magically found the documents, Charlie, but now they're telling me they're not going to give them to me, citing legal blah, blah, blah. So basically, I believe, based on my reporting, the first investigation was following the money, and they were going after Snyder. She comes in there, she fires everybody for whatever reason. She claims that they failed to secure millions of documents. It's in the book. They didn't. That was all theater. And then she basically drops the financial investigation for KWA. And I believe why they didn't go after that is twofold. One, she appointed amateur, and this isn't my words, this is sources in her own office told me, she appointed amateur prosecutors who happened to have donated to her campaign. They were overwhelmed. They did not have the experience to go after this financial fraud. And the second thing is, if she would have went after KWA, it was told to me it could have actually bankrupted the state of Michigan, because the state attorney general's office signed off on that financial scheme, and they would have been on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wall Street sues for bogus financial instruments, and the state backed it all. And Wall Street banks, who happen to donate to both political parties, talking to you, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan, they wrote the bonds. They fronted the money. They, too, had liability because they did not do the due diligence, which was in the contract, to ensure that the Flint water plant could actually treat the water. So the banks were on the hook for a lot of liability. The state of Michigan was on the hook. And I just asked the attorney general, because they've made a big thing that they, after the state Supreme Court threw out the charges, they want to do everything they can to at least present to the people of Flint the evidence that they compiled. Well, I put in Freedom of Information requests. They will not give me documents that were from their predecessor. I know the documents are there because when I FOIA'd the same thing, it came back and, there's a redacted square, like with his exact title and everything, even though we both know the exact title of the document. It's like, the legal part here is under the Freedom of Information Act, part of an ongoing investigation. I think we probably both use the same language, like you just claimed the investigation's over. Mm-hmm. So we need to go to court to get a definition of what ongoing investigation means, because we're never going to get the answer. Everybody got rich. Everybody's eating steak in Bordeaux on the old jail, the new jail, Flint, you name it, right?
Well, the bottom line is the state of Michigan taxpayers and the poisoned people of Flint spent tens of millions of dollars for multiple investigations. They didn't need to be multiple investigations, by the way. I have no idea why the attorney general torpedoed the first one.
I'll tell you why.
Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dum da dum dum. Dana.
That's why.
What do you want to happen as a result? I mean, I know this is information. You want people to buy the book, read the book, and know what really happened, what you uncovered. But what would you like to see
in 10 seconds
happen as a result?
Quickly, I want all of Flint to know what actually happened, because they have no idea, because their media has basically been asleep at the switch. Number two, I believe what we're talking about, the documents that she will not give, that evidence of RICO, I believe that's one of the few things that can still be criminally charged. I do not think the statute of limitations is up for that. There is flexibility in terms of RICO, in terms of federal RICO. I believe that that is still prosecutable if she provides the evidence, and that's why I think she's not providing the documents.
Then I make you a promise. I will redouble my efforts. I'll call you, and if you'd like to go back and forth, good cop, let's do some more.
Absolutely.
Okay, the name of the book is We the Poison, Exposing the Flint Water Crisis Cover-Up. This is it. This is it. If you really care, and it's readable. It totally is. You can see that I can't even remember the names, but it's written so well that you don't need the name to stick in your head.
You're the kind of person that would have told me if it sucked. So I was honored when you told me this was damn good. You should be proud.
One sitting. I'm like, I got to read his book. If I start today and I'm like, oh damn, what the motherfucker got the phone logos?
So bookstores, Amazon, all your
I didn't really put it together what he was saying.
Bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Right now, actually, it's light in bookstores because they told me so many copies have sold online. So
that's good.
Online, bookstores.
I interviewed Snyder when they started putting out the tranche of emails and stuff. And I was driving here today trying to avoid the Secret Service shutdown, because old Kamala and Harry
Tim
and JD Hillbilly. Okay. I was thinking, damn, dude, if I had what you had in this book at that moment, I had the guy and you didn't know. Well, what are these phone calls? We might be in a different place.
Biggest government cover-up of the 21st century. It makes Watergate look like child's play.
He said that last night in his book reading. We're over time. We'll cut that. All right. Jordan Chariton, thanks for being here, Karen, as always, and we'll see you next week. Don't take no shit and think for yourself. Please. I'm counting on it.